If you have been wondering what WOF or width of fabric means, you are very much not alone. It is a really common question for beginner quilters. So don't worry, I am here to answer the question for you. Who am I? I'm Kim. This is Quilt with Kim. You are very welcome. Let's get inside to the cutting mat and I'll show you exactly what's what. Come with me.
Let's start by looking at a bolt of fabric, because if you understand how it goes onto the bolt, that helps you to understand what the width of fabric is. So this bolt here is a Moda fabric, doesn't really matter which brand it is, but this is a classic quilting cotton fabric and it is put onto the bolt folded double. As you can see here, it is folded double from selvedge, which you can see at the bottom here, to selvedge. Can you see that? So if I open it up a little bit, you've got the selvedges at one end and you've got a fold at the other end. So your bolt of fabric, it's folded on there. Dressmaking fabric, the fashion fabrics, upholstery fabric, that is a wider fabric. It is 60 inches wide. That is on long tubes, also called bolts, confusingly. But your quilting cotton is 42 to 45 inches wide at its entirety, but it is folded in half to go onto a square bolt for your quilting cotton. Now, handily, if I put, sorry, I've now got everything falling over onto the side here. If I put my quilting ruler here, you can see that when it is folded in half, it beautifully fits under my quilting ruler. I think somebody thought about that. Okay, so when somebody is talking about width of fabric, they are talking about from selvedge to selvedge. So you'd be cutting it along here. Now let me show you. So when you've ordered the fabric, your shop will cut it off the bolt with half a metre, or whatever you have asked for. So they will cut it off the bolt. Sorry, it doesn't really work with all my shenanigans in the way to record this. So they've opened it up here and they will cut it folded for you to arrive folded in half like this, and that is exactly what you want, because now we know it fits underneath our ruler. Let me get one that is already cut off. So this is another Moda Grunge. There's about 70 centimeters here, but that doesn't matter. So you can see here that we've got our fold at one end, that it's been taken off the bolt folded, and at the bottom end we've got our two selvedges matching kind of at the bottom. Okay, so when your pattern will say you need to cut, say, a 3-inch strip width of fabric, what that means is that you cut with it folded, with the edges nicely aligned here and your selvedges down at the bottom. So for any cutting, we would cut off an edge here to give ourselves a straight edge. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. So I am not unfolding the fabric. That is really the message that I'm trying to give you here. All I'm going to do is put my ruler on the top fold here, because that's normally sitting on one of the cross grain lines, which is really handy. That is on the warp thread going across, so that tends to be quite straight. You don't need to know all these technical words. I have got videos which I should pop at the end where you're going to have a look at the anatomy of a fabric, but for this video that doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is put a horizontal line of my ruler on that top fold, and I'm going to cut off this edge here. Why am I doing that? It is because when it comes off the bolt, you can get really scraggy edges. That's a technical term now, scraggy edges. If you look at this bolt here, now I cut off this bolt and I know I cut straight, but you can see already that the fabric is becoming a little bit frayed and the two halves start separating a little bit, and that's because when they put the fabric onto the bolt, obviously machines are doing it, they're doing it fast, it's not always going on straight. So you always want to give yourself a straight edge before you do any measurement. I am right-handed, so I do that on the right. So the fabric I want is underneath my ruler here. I've cut off my straight edge. I flip that over. If you're left-handed, you do this exactly the same way but opposite. And then my straight edge is on the left, and let's just go back to that 3-inch strip that I want here. I am going to line my 3-inch measurement of my ruler up this left hand side. The fabric is still folded, the selvedges are still right at the bottom of your screen here, and then I would put a horizontal line on the top of the fold at the top of your screen there. And if I make sure that that is straight and that is straight, I can cut my 3-inch strip, in this case, width of fabric straight up there. And then what your pattern would do is ask you to subcut it. Okay, so in a nutshell, your width of fabric is from selvage to selvage. And if I open this up, you can see how wide it is. There we go. So that is width of fabric. I really hope that has helped. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. If this has been helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I will love you and leave you for now. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.